Imagine this. You've just reached for your wallet and you suddenly realize your Delaware driver's license is completely missing. Whether you left it at a coffee shop, dropped it on a run, or worse, it got stolen, that sudden drop in your stomach, oh, it's entirely real. Not having your primary ID is a massive headache. It interrupts your daily routine, it makes commuting incredibly stressful from a legal standpoint, and it totally leaves you vulnerable to identity theft. But hey, take a deep breath. We're going to get through this. Because if you're a Delaware resident, you can actually bypass those dreaded DMV waiting lines and solve this whole problem entirely online in just a handful of steps.
Welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here with us today. We are going to walk through the exact step-by-step process of replacing your lost Delaware driver's license using the state's secure My DMV portal. Getting your driving privileges safely restored and making sure your identity is protected is absolutely crucial. So I want to make sure you have the exact roadmap to get it done as smoothly as possible. All right, here's our roadmap for today. First up, online eligibility. Second, navigating the My DMV portal. Third, fees and fulfillment. And finally, exceptions and support. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, online eligibility. Let's figure out who actually qualifies for an online replacement. Okay, before you go digging out your credit card and trying to log in, we need to make sure you actually qualify to use the online system. Delaware does require certain individuals to handle this in person at a branch. And look, this isn't just to inconvenience you, it's a really strict security measure to protect your identity. So you can't use the online portal if you're a minor under 18 or if you hold a graduated driver license, mostly because a sponsor needs to be present for those. You're also disqualified if you're upgrading to a real ID for the very first time because the DMV legally has to scan your physical source documents. And finally, if you need a new photo, which by the way is required every 16 years, if your driving privileges are currently suspended, or if you used a self-service kiosk during your last visit, you're gonna have to head to a physical DMV location. But here is the good news. If you don't fall into any of those specific edge cases, the online path is wide open for you. Basically, if you're over 18, you have a valid standard Class D license, and the DMV already has a recent compliant photo of you on file, you can easily request your duplicate whenever you want, 24/7 from your couch. Moving right along to Section 2, the My DMV portal. Time to navigate the digital gatekeeper. This portal is essentially the state's digital hub for over 20 different motor vehicle services. But before it lets you just order a new ID, it acts like a pretty strict bouncer. To set up your account and actually prove you are who you say you are, Delaware requires a rigid 3-point identity validation sequence. First, you'll need to input your Delaware driver's license or ID number, so hopefully you've got that memorized or stashed somewhere safe. Second, you need your exact date of birth. And third, the last 4 digits of your Social Security number or ITIN. This creates a real-time validation loop that cross-references your inputs directly against the state's master database. It ensures complete security before you can even create a username. Now, once you pass that screen and set your password, the system is supposed to send you an activation email. But I really want to give you a helpful heads up right here. The state actually notes that some customers experience a delay in receiving this email, and it can sometimes take up to 72 hours. So the main takeaway here is do not panic if it doesn't show up in your inbox instantly. If you hit that 72-hour mark and still have nothing, just email DMV customer service with your username and email address, and they'll sort you out. All right, you're finally logged in, but there's one more vital check, your address. By law, you have to notify the DMV within 1 month of moving. So if your address on file is completely current, fantastic, you can proceed immediately to request your duplicate. But if you've recently moved, you can't just type in a new address and have a secure ID mailed there. You'll actually be required to provide 2 electronic proofs of Delaware residency. Think things like a recent utility bill or a lease agreement, just to update your profile before the system will even let you order the replacement. Okay, Section 3, fees and fulfillment. Let's talk about the costs and when you'll actually receive your new ID. Let's get down to the practical side of things. How much is this whole administrative process going to cost you? And once you click submit, how long are you waiting? The absolute cost for a duplicate standard Delaware driver's license is exactly $20. It's just a flat fee, and the MyDMV portal makes it easy by accepting major credit cards like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. But please, pay close attention to this next part, because it's a huge legal and safety consideration. You need to make absolutely sure your payment method is valid and has sufficient funds. If you complete the online transaction and your payment bounces or is deemed uncollectible, the state is going to hit you with a $25 penalty. And honestly, it gets worse. If you fail to cover that original $20 fee plus the penalty within 10 days of being notified, your driver's license will literally be suspended. So definitely double check those credit card numbers before hitting submit.
Assuming your payment goes through smoothly, you trigger this fantastic dual-phase fulfillment process. Phase 1 offers immediate relief. The portal actually allows you to download and print a temporary paper driver's license in a PDF format. This printout is a lifesaver because it provides legally compliant proof of your driving privileges for 60 days. Then, Phase 2 is the waiting game. Your actual physical card isn't just printed at a local branch anymore. It's manufactured at a highly secure, centralized facility to prevent counterfeiting, and then it's mailed out to you via standard USPS mail. Usually, it arrives within about 2 weeks.
Almost done. Section 4, Exceptions and Support. Let's see what happens if you're out of state or serving in the military. Because we all know life happens, and sometimes you lose your wallet when you're miles away from Delaware. It's super important to understand how the state handles these specific edge cases. Delaware actually offers 2 distinct remote pathways. If you're a standard resident who's just vacationing or traveling out of state when disaster strikes, you can't get a physical card mailed to your hotel. Instead, you have to fax a detailed request to the Dover driver license section. They will then provide you with a temporary driving authority that's valid for up to 6 months just to get you home legally. However, if you are active duty military, a Department of Defense employee, or a dependent deployed outside of Delaware, you get full remote mail-in privileges. By submitting your military orders in a specific form, the DMV will manufacture and mail a physical duplicate license directly to your out-of-state station. And, that military exception really highlights exactly why standard online orders work the way they do. As the official documentation emphasizes, to prevent mail fraud, duplicate licenses are shipped only to the residential or mailing address currently on file. The DMV clearly does not mess around with identity theft. The entire system is built completely around the security of your verified permanent Delaware address.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. Now, as a quick professional disclaimer, this explainer is strictly for informational purposes to help guide you through the documented process. You should always verify your own specific details directly with the official Delaware DMV website. Also, when your new physical card finally does arrive in the mail, please make sure to double-check that all your details on it are perfectly accurate. Which leads to my final question for you today. Is your DMV address up to date right now? Don't wait until your wallet goes missing to find out. I challenge you to log into your MyDMV account today and check your records. Have you ever had to use this online replacement system? Let us know how smooth the process was for you in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay safe out there on the roads.